Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome back. Thank you for clicking play now. Please excuse me for all the air. Every single time I talk, you probably hear a gush of wind going into the microphone. My AC unit is right here. But one day, man, we're going to have this bad boy set up, man. We haven't checked out any Steven Crowder in a long time, and I'm looking forward to it. You already know this dude always brings the heat. He's like Caitlin times 12, and Caitlin is the little lady that walks around with the microphone talking to people, talking to college students about different issues and whatnot, and she ended up being yelled at by millions of Democrats. And she's very sweet. She's extremely sweet, but they get triggered whenever they see her. So I think right now my guy is about to talk to some pro-life people. I'm assuming that it's about to turn up. So I haven't watched it. This is my first time. We're watching it together. So hopefully you guys enjoy it. All right, y'all ready? Let's go. Let's go. Where are you?
That was a baby. That was a baby with its own. Listen, you might not like me. No, that was a baby. Let me tell you something. What you ended was a unique genetic code that had eye color, hair color, how tall it would be, how much it would weigh, its personality, proclivity toward mental illness, what kind of hair pattern to male pattern baldness. When you had that abortion performed, you eliminated all of that. That's a scientific fact.
Wow.
Of all the Change My Mind segments we've conducted, this one became the most
He didn't have to put it like that, man. When you break it down like that, you probably have that lady sitting there crying now. She can literally see the baby that she daggone aborted. She can see it. And as a 5-year-old or a 10-year-old now, it's like, oh man, I messed up.
Intensely personal.
Hi, how are you?
Meet Yara.
I'm really trying not to. People were hyping my nerves in there. So.
Oh, really? What's your name?
Yara.
Yara Steven, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, Yara. So you just.
Before this, I just want to say no personal offense to either one of us.
I appreciate that.
Respect your opinion.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I know you just said you have to calm yourself down because people are hyping your nerves.
I do. I need to calm down for a second.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do you need? You were hoping there was some.
Water.
You know, it's the legality of we can't necessarily give people water because then they go, I got salmonella, and then they point to me. You know, it's a YouTube
fine.
channel. So you seem like you're upset. Obviously, the sign is pretty clear. I'm pro-life. You've been listening to some conversations. If you disagree with my position, you're welcome to change my mind. But you still need to calm your nerves. What are you so upset about?
One thing that definitely really strikes a chord with me is the fact that a majority of women who have actually had to face the choice of abortion, it is because it was either necessary, it was medically necessary, or it was just a decision that really was the fork in the road of your future. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, a majority of men, I understand they pay child support. I understand that a man is half what it takes to create a child.
Sure.
But when you are by yourself and you are alone and it is dark and...
When you're by yourself and you're alone and it's dark is what she's talking about. So those people, they should be always eligible for an abortion when it's dark and you're alone and it's scary. All right, we're following along. Let's go, young lady.
And you are alone.
You're alone.
And it is dark.
Huh?
And you have to face, do I lose my future? Do I throw away my education? Mm-hmm. I can go back. Yeah, you always say I can go back, but that's twice as hard raising a child by yourself. I watched my mom as a single mother, and I don't want that life for myself. And abortion itself, it's a right. I understand the legalities behind late abortion, and I do not support it unless it is medically necessary.
Okay.
In the terms of it would kill the mother, the fetus is no longer viable.
Can I pause you real quick? Just
Yes.
get onto a few different things.
Yes.
First off, I appreciate you being so forthcoming with your personal story. You didn't have to do that, so I do appreciate that.
I understand a lot of people are not willing to talk about it.
Well, thank you very much. So here, let me present you this bill, because it sounds like we might find some common ground here. This is a bill proposed for...
Now, I do have some questions about this because when it's dark and you're alone and all those other things, this sounds good if the great majority of the people who get abortions are in those places. It's dark and they're alone. But we need to be more responsible for the times when it's dark and we made a decision to be with the opposite sex. We're not alone, and we're about to do something that we know can produce a baby. Sometimes we need to have that type of thinking. Like, we get so deep and want to be so intellectual. We want to come up with all this sugar honey iced tea to support our decision making after the fact. But what about when you're dark, and when it's dark and you're with someone and it's all hot and it's heavy, and y'all just completely disregard any responsibilities, any extra steps that could prevent you ended up pregnant? What about those times? And then you don't have to make the decision that I don't want to raise a child by myself. I don't want to do this by myself. Listen, it's unfortunate, but you made your bed, man. You made your bed. You made your bed. My daughter that just now got married, 25 years old now, and beautiful marriage, man. I was down, I was like, so what we gonna do? That's what I said to my wife at the time. Well, that was my girlfriend at the time. She was 18. She was 18 when she found out that she was pregnant with our oldest daughter. 17. She was 17. And I said, so what we gonna do? I was hoping that her decision would be to get an abortion, because my guardian wasn't with it, and we was about to go to college and all those other things. And I'm thankful that didn't happen. But if you're responsible at first, you don't have to make those type of decisions unless, something else happened. But we're not talking about the others, something else. We're talking about the people who actually make these decisions to, get in there and, do something strange for some change.
Babies who survive abortions.
What term were they aborted? At what point?
Well, no, this is about all babies who survive abortions, whether it be later term or...
You have to ask, what point are these children surviving these abortions?
You can read it right here. What it basically requires is that doctors simply provide the same kind of medical care to born babies from survived abortions as born babies who didn't survive attempted abortions. Every major DNC candidate voted against that protection. What would you say to that? Does that make it moral?
No, that's not in the sense of, moralities when it comes to having the abortion in general. You're talking about saving a child who did actually survive
an abortion, yeah.
And in that point, yeah, you do have that common ground. Mm-hmm. But what we're talking about today is the initial access of abortions and women who need them.
Sure.
Because
you've not convinced me that women need them. Certainly they don't need them. They don't need to kill another human being.
You may not feel like they need them, but you know what? I'm prospering. I'm actually out here, I'm creating a life for myself, and I'm hoping to make a future for myself, and other women are on the same page as I am.
Are you saying that you've had an abortion? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to say that publicly, because
okay, well, you just came out here.
Okay. Are you ashamed of it? That shouldn't be anything that you'd be ashamed of. I mean, when you're a grown woman and you make a decision to do something, you shouldn't be ashamed, especially if you're out there on the front lines and you're trying to get other people to do it, and now you're afraid to admit when you've done it. Come on, you can't tell me that that's not wrong. You can't tell me that that's not wrong. Come on now.
Are you saying that you've had an abortion? Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to say that publicly.
Okay, well, you just came out here and said you just said I'm prospering. You just brought up abortion, so I'm confused as to the train of logic. Why does that matter?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
You know what? I had to sit in that chair, and I had to face the facts that yes, what I was doing was something that was going to change my future, and it did, because I was left alone. I was left to pay for everything. I did not qualify for any kind of funding or payments that people say exist. And everybody who wants to say I would have adopted your baby, I'm sorry, but go adopt the other 4,000 that are already in foster care programs here. Yeah. And
oh my gosh. And a great majority of them are in foster care right now because of a lack of responsibility. Because, I mean, seriously, a lack of responsibility, either earlier on in their lives, the parents' lives, or later, where they just had blatant disregard for their life. And they was cool with creating a new one and just passing it on, creating a new one and just passing it on. I was in foster care my entire life. My mother and my father, they weren't there. All right. So I'm very much aware of that. So when if I sound a little bitter, that's because I might be. Because sometimes when you make these decisions, man, you gotta stick by these decisions. Unless, listen, there are some times where people are violated and you got to make certain decisions. But a lot of these cases, people weren't violated. It was decisions that they actually made. And then they picked themselves, they picked their own futures over what they created. How can that possibly be right? I can't roll with you on that, but I'm listening. I'm willing to listen to more.
4,000 that are already in foster care programs here. Yeah. And you can't tell me...
Just because not everyone here would adopt that baby doesn't mean it's justifiably killed.
It doesn't mean that it was justifiably meant to force me to have a baby.
No one's forcing you to have a baby.
You would if you took away the law.
No one would be forcing you to have a baby.
Ain't nobody forced you to have no sex. Forced you to have a baby. Ain't no... All right, so I'm about to go abort this. Are you cool with that? Hey, do whatever you want to do. I don't even know your name. What's your name again? You allowing yourself to be put in that position. You put yourself in that trick bag, and now you're here.
Simply be forbidding you from killing it.
No, you would be forcing.
No one's forcing you to have a baby. The only forcible act there is the act of killing.
How many single women, how many single parents who are women are in poverty? Do you know the percentage?
It could not be less relevant.
How is that less relevant? Because I'm going to tell you from...
My man said it could not be less relevant. Man, this dude is a beast.
Well, you just asked me, but then you said, I'm going to tell you. Did you want to ask me?
Yeah.
Okay.
Do you know the percentage?
It could not be less relevant because you're not justified in killing somebody based on poverty, income, race, sex, gender, period. It's never justified.
That's hilarious because a lot of our politicians have justifiably killed other people for less.
Really?
Yeah.
I can't speak for all politicians, but to go to your argument, I don't believe you're justified in killing someone because of a lower income level.
So as monkey see, monkey do, it's pretty much like she just now threw up like politicians do it all the time. They kill people for less. So I should be able to kill my baby. It's my baby. I should be able to kill my baby. I should be able to kill my baby or keep my baby. Which K am I going to pick? Keep or kill? That is ridiculous, man. Is that where we are right now? Is that where we are right?
I feel like I'm justified in saving myself from having to be forced into that lower income level just because I don't have the accesses of other women who are able to have a husband to support them, have the ability to pay the $15,000+ in medical bills.
Because like I said, it's hard to go back. It's hard to go back when you have a baby. Like you talk about going back to school, it's really hard to go back.
Yeah, it's hard to get educated. It's hard to even support yourself. It's hard to breathe right now as it is.
It's hard to go back in time and unring that bell.
Single person.
Yeah. That baby doesn't get to go back.
That baby was never alive.
Oh my God.
Because it wasn't viable until it's outside of the womb. And we want to go back to technicalities.
That was a baby with its own. Listen, you might not like this. No, that was a baby. Let me tell you something. What you ended was a unique genetic code that had eye color, hair color, how tall it would be, how much it would weigh, its personality, proclivity toward mental illness, what kind of hair pattern to male pattern baldness. When you had that abortion performed, you eliminated all of that. That's a scientific fact.
The fact is that it was a choice and it was something that had to be done.
Oh my gracious.
I think you handled yourself very well. And again, this is not even to speak of our disagreements. I think that's why people had a very passionate response. And
I'm glad he's doing this, man. He did a follow-up after the initial conversation. I think that's dope. Okay. All right.
I know you said it's been a whirlwind. What would you say the overall response has been? Because I've tried to direct my fans, my followers to be respectful. And I've seen that, in my experience, from my point of view, be the majority of it. Has that been the case?
It really depends on what platform you're looking at or what social media you're looking at, because when I contacted you, I made a Twitter. I'd never really had a Twitter, so I was like, okay, well, maybe if I just kind of get ahead of it and say my small little piece that I can and the little amount of words that Twitter allows you, maybe it'll kind of help me a little, I guess. And Twitter was very positive. I had a couple sour apples, nobody that I can't handle, something that I expected. However, I did feel more judgment on, I guess, YouTube and Facebook.
Sure.
I can understand people don't agree with what I did and some of the points that I did bring up, and having done more research, the conversation itself actually did impact my perspective of the entire conversation.
How so?
Well, in a sense, I gathered that what people had assumed of me was that I did not regret my decision, that I was using it as contraceptive, and that I was this bad person overall because I was wrong in my form of justification. It made me realize that, yes, I do regret the decision. It's, personally, I didn't get to say this. It's not something I would do again, I didn't get the chance to say that I felt as though I...
That's important. The fact she said, it's not something that I would do again. It is something that I regret. Why then would you encourage other people to do it? Now, I know you want people to have the opportunity to do it. You want them to have that ability. Like if worst case scenario, you're in the worst position ever, you didn't want this situation, you didn't want to be pregnant, you were violated in some type of way, that's how you became pregnant, and you're just trying to find solutions, and that's the only lane that you can take. But other than that, if you yourself are like, I would never encourage anybody to do anything that I regretted. I just won't. Like, hey, I mean, do you? We're all human. Go do your thing. You know what I mean? But if I regret it and I said I would never make this decision again, then why are you trying to encourage other people to make this decision? I mean, it's just questions I have.
Again, I didn't get the chance to say that I felt as though I squandered my opportunity in what you would call motherhood. And, I had felt justified in what I had done, but having the conversation kind of made me question my motives. Question, did I actually, take advantage of all the opportunities that were available? But it even also made me want to ask myself, why? Like, why other women feel the way that I feel as well, what are those external forces that guided my decision, and how many people feel that same way? So,
wow.
Yeah, I agree. It's not very moral.
What you're sort of explaining here is the intended goal of the segment, but we often don't get to follow up with people, and so it goes out kind of into the ether, and we hope that it works.
All right, so yeah, I saw that right there. It seemed like the young lady came around, was coming around, but at that point, to be honest, because nobody's perfect, right? As long as we're showing respect to people who feel like this is the only thing that they have, and if I needed that tool or that I needed to go down that lane, I can't. As long as we communicate with people in a way that doesn't seem so argumentative, doesn't seem so judgy or anything like that, and we're just trying to let them know that life that you've created inside you is just as important as your own. You are being used. You yourself, you're being used as a vessel, and a lot of people don't understand that because I don't know if you believe in God or not, but a lot of us are vessels. That's what we are. We're vessels, and we're all used to help someone bring or bring a life into this world, and we're here to do God's work, not our own. So it's essentially not our decision to make, and I guess we feel like it is. Now, I have 2 daughters, so when I speak on this, I do understand that these laws affect them. I understand that, and honestly, I'm trying to understand these laws a lot better. And everybody don't always adhere to responsibility and whatnot. But at the end of the day, what's right is right, and what's wrong is wrong. And you got to be held accountable for the decisions that you make. A lot of people don't feel like they should have to because of the predicament they're in, the lifestyle that they live, the lack of financial resources that they have, and all those other things. And they say, you know what? And our coping mechanisms sometimes in these dire straits are to have sex and just be more passionate or intimate with other people. And then that happens, you know, because, you know, the condom bursts, or, you know, the old school thing that the condom busts. Most times it ain't the condom busting, it's us not even considering a condom, us not considering any type of, you know, prophylactic or anything like that. And then we produce a baby, and then we have regret, and we're like, oh, can we fix this before we go to school? I'm about to go to college. This can't mess it up. I got a new job. This can't mess it up. I'm already in a relationship. I wasn't supposed to get her pregnant. Like, that happens a lot too. It's like all of the cheating that goes on around. People are getting pregnant by somebody else that they're not in a relationship with. And then next thing you know, they want to hurry up and cover it up, sweep it under the rug. Like it didn't happen. That's not how life works. And I'm speaking from the from the point of view of someone who know many women who have voluntarily gone and gotten abortions, and it wasn't because of rape or anything. It was just from irresponsibility, and they just wanted to clean slate. I can't afford another kid right now, you know. I just can't. I can't afford another kid. Well, can you afford to continue to have sex unprotected? I'm guessing so, because that's why you keep doing it. That's why you keep doing it. And at some point, man, we gotta take accountability for ourselves. But anyway, it ain't about me, it's about y'all. And I wanna hear what y'all gotta say about this in the comments below. And if you have yet to hit that subscribe button, please make sure you do so on your way out the door. Once again, guys, I'm Van, and now we are all the LFR family, and I look forward to seeing you on the next video, and hopefully inside the Patreon as well. Y'all have been amazing per usual. Love y'all.